Hello, my name is Albert Carlet. Today I'm presenting to you St. John the Evangelist Church. St. John's the Evangelist Church is located in 29 North Washington Avenue, Bergenfield, New Jersey 07621. Uh, the reason I chose this church is because, one, this is the church that I grew up being an altar boy in, and two, I wanted to be unique and pick somewhere outside of Dallas that was not included on the list given. This church in particular was built in 1905 and was founded by its first pastor, which was Reverend John H.C. Rutten from Holland. Now, the church itself has this cathedral, almost cathedral kind of style to it, but not exactly. It does have this orange brick structure that has arches in the doorway and arches for this big window, and then a big tower to the right that holds a bell that rings every 5 to 10 minutes before mass. Usually, when mass is over, you'd see a bunch of people flock outside these stairs because it is located on a main road in town. Now, for the inside of the church itself, it's pretty long, so it has two long rows of pews that go all the way from the front of the church to the back. So pretty much, the priest can see everybody from front to back up on the altar. Now it has a long hall passageway in between that leads up to the altar, and then the altar itself, which is right there in the front, is made out of marble and some sort of rock, so it's very sturdy there. Now on the background of the altar, you have almost like a image of a church that holds the crucifix, and then up on the top here, where it's like a dome cathedral style, you have paintings of crosses and angels looking over down at the altar itself. Now, for this church in particular, it is a Catholic church. So predominantly Catholic people go, but it is not. It doesn't discriminate to anybody that's out of a different religion. So basically, if there's an event that holds like a wedding or a first Eucharist, it doesn't disallow other religions from coming in. Now, for this church in particular, they do present hymnals in a mass, usually at the beginning, middle, and at the end. There's prayers that go throughout the whole mass process, some readings of the Bible, some talks from the priest himself, and then the sharing the body and blood, which is the bread and wine, um, the Eucharist. Now, in a Catholic church, you have can have events like uh, for penance, which is confessional, your first confessional as to become a member of the Catholic Church. Then you have your first communion, where you receive the bread and wine, and then it goes on to first confirmation, where you finally officially become a member of the church, and then you go up all the way to a wedding, and then unfortunately funerals. Now there are various activities that go on within this particular church. You have a Boy Scout troop that's sponsored by the church itself. Usually during Christmas time, they sell fresh wreaths and Christmas trees to parishioners, and that also helps them get to their jamboree. You have Knights of Columbus, which usually is a group of older gentlemen, um, usually range from 40 and up, that get together once in a while to read the Bible and almost like a fellowship. And they also sponsor breakfasts once in a while for the church. So, and then other organizations, like you have youth groups that try to connect with the younger generation, because most of the time when they go to church, it's all about just getting out of the church, but not connecting to what is really going on in the gospel. Now, this church in particular is predominantly Filipino because Filipinos are mostly Catholic. With that being said, usually the events that go on within these church also are surrounding the Filipino community, which you have Simbang Gabi, which is uh, basically a masses during Christmas time that's held. There's also Filipino masses, which is spoken in Tagalog. Um, that happens every first Saturday of the month. There's also various Filipino events that occur coincide with the church, but everyone's free to join in. Um, and they also are big in sponsoring, helping within the church. So basically, your lectors, your ushers, your altar boys, mostly everybody in the community is predominantly Filipino. Um, then and they're also big in making the church better. So they even do fundraisers that go all towards the church because mostly all the groups that help out the church are um, nonprofit organizations. Research, they do not offer any online masses or anything like that, um, but they do still offer in church masses. But unfortunately, they do it to a certain limitation where you have to sign up to actually enter the mass. So maybe only about 50% due to COVID. Now, going on to their website, www.sjrc.org. That there you can find all the information about the church, going back to its history, the current priests that you can speak to, mass times, all these informations that you can read about and see more if somebody wanted to do research about the church. There you can find some phone numbers that you can call, particularly to the rectory, which is the main hub that circulates everything that goes around the church. So, in conclusion, St. John's Church is a Catholic church and it's located in New Jersey. Um, been around a long time, and to this day, it's still one of the most famous churches in that particular area. And it was actually one of the first churches in that area. So to be part of that history, it was pretty cool. So thank you and be safe.